What's up, everybody? So I'm going to address a question I get a ton of anytime I show this drawer, and the question I get a lot is, why so many ratchets? Do you need that many ratchets? That's way too many ratchets. That's stupid. You have so many ratchets. I've heard it all, everything under the sun. So I'm going to explain why I have so many ratchets. I'm also going to explain what I do and don't like about them, and just kind of go in more in depth and kind of address that whole situation. First of all, the most obvious is this is not a ratchet. People that don't know what they're talking about or have never seen this, obviously, oftentimes confuse this with a ratchet. This is Milwaukee's right angle 1/2 inch impact. So that is quite different, obviously, than ratchets. And then what I have here is Snap-on's Brute 3/8. So this is a slower speed but higher torque long neck 3/8 ratchet. Then I have the 3/8 brushless long reach ratchet, which is faster speed but lower torque. This is the 1/4 inch long reach ratchet. And then I have the brushless one and the short 1/4 inch. I have not upgraded these to fuel yet. They've been fine and whatnot, so it's not been really a big deal. The short answer and version of why I have so many ratchets is I worked flat rate at the dealership for a really long time, so efficiency was key. So if I'm working on something and I left a tool on top of the vehicle on the lift, I didn't have to lower the vehicle down. I could grab one of these other ones or whatnot and, save myself some time. And, you always get the argument, well, that doesn't save you much time. Well, you do that multiple times a day throughout the week, then throughout the month, it adds up to extra time. That being said, also sometimes the short reach one can't reach in there or the long reach one is too big. So that's why I have the opposite ones. Now, technically, these are two very similar ones, but it's because this one is the Brute and the low torque, and it's the only reason I kept it because I had the non-brushless version. So that's why I have both, and I kept it because it's got the more torque on it. I don't use it as much anymore, and it just sits in there, and I may eventually get rid of it. But again, when I'm doing like a timing belt job or something like that, I'm using a lot of these ratchets, and if I happen to leave one sitting on top of the engine bay, it's so much quicker and easier for me to just, I don't know where it's at. I'll just go grab my other one, finish the job, and then when I lower the vehicle down, it's right there. That being said, let's go into the ratchets and what I do and don't like about them. Overall, I really prefer this style ratchet from Snap-on just for the fact that the body is a smaller size. It has the push button instead of the toggle switch or the bar, whatever you want to call it. I really like that, so it's less chance of it getting stuck on something and then continuing to tighten or loosen and jam itself up against the sidewall or frame wall or whatever. So that is one thing I do like about it. One of the kind of pains, which isn't a big deal comparing like if I had the Milwaukee ones and I had like a standard, 2.0 battery, obviously that'd be a little different at the base. So this can kind of be a pain and catch. So if I'm trying to reach up somewhere, like every now and again, if I'm doing like a radiator or something and I need to tuck this in, or there's certain Hondas that I do AC compressors where I'll get this one up in there, but then the battery kind of sticks out too far. So that can be a kind of a pain. So if I had the other version, it would obviously fit in there quite a bit differently because the battery, the 2.0, doesn't stick out as much. So that can be an annoyance and a pain. It's not an issue all of the time, but it does come up. The thing is to, now comparing to the new Milwaukee ones, which I personally have not used yet, I'm hoping to be able to get some of those soon. These are not as fast. The Milwaukee ones, the new versions that they just came out with the high speeds, they're faster. They don't have as much torque, but they are faster. So if I can get my hands on a couple and try them out, I'll see if the high speed is that much better. Again, efficiency is key in our world, especially if you're flat rate. I'm no longer flat rate. I own my own shop, so it's a little different. But yeah. And then obviously, like I said in the beginning, this is not a ratchet, and the consensus on this is one or the other. Either people hate it because they say it was really underpowered and it didn't work, or people love it. I am the latter. I really love it. I've used it on tons of brake jobs and it's worked great. I use it on every timing belt job to get the side engine mount bracket off. It works great for that. There's plenty of jobs that I use this for, and it's been fine for me. I did get it in 1/2 inch because I didn't want the torque loss in the anvil. People can say what they want, but I've noticed a difference for sure. So obviously I have the bigger anvil and a bigger socket on there, more power transfer. So that seems to work for me. And I've always keep a 6.0 battery on there, which helps as well. So for me, this has been really great. But again, obviously it's not a ratchet, it's an impact. It is bulky compared to a ratchet, but it's a completely different tool, and it obviously has uses. If you've ever watched Mr. Subaru's videos, he talks about that all the time with people using these ratchets and thinking that they're impacts versus obviously this is an actual impact, and so it's gonna hammer and break a bolt loose versus these, you have to hand torque it and break it loose under your own power. Sometimes you can dump the clutch on these and break bolts loose, but you know, it is what it is. I will say I really like the new brushless versions of these. They do seem to have a little bit more power. That could just be in my head, I don't know. And they do seem to be a slight bit faster than the older ones, but again, that could be just in my head, and who knows, maybe I just try to justify the new tool. It is what it is, but I can tell you the long reach ratchets are a huge benefit to your collection. If you don't have them, whether it's a Snap-on or a Milwaukee, I could care less which one you're buying. It don't matter to me. Again, the Snap-ons do have more torque because they're 14 4-volt versus the Milwaukees, but at the end of the day, buy what works for you. As you can see, I've got Milwaukee and Snap-on. I don't really care. You just want to buy what tool is going to work for you. If you have a lot of Milwaukee, then buy more Milwaukee because obviously you have the batteries, and it's a lot easier to continually keep those charged and always have one on the charger. I have a lot of both because, again, I was in the dealership and I was flat rate, and honestly, I just love tools. So that's another reason why I have a ton of tools. It's just because I really like tools, and every single one of these gets used. This one is brand new, so it doesn't look like it gets used, but anyway, so hopefully that at least gives you an idea. I just kind of wanted to talk about that because, like I said, anytime I show this drawer, that is one of the top comments is, why do you have so many ratchets? And the hate that comes out is beyond amazing. So, and people always say, you know, start slamming on Snap-on and they don't see half the drawers filled with Milwaukee, whatever. Like I say, I don't really care. It all works at the end of the day. Use what's best for you. Yeah, and hopefully, actually this one is the brushless one. I'm sorry, I just now noticed that because it has the new button. So the only ones that aren't brushless are these. They did change the trigger on them, which I do really like the newer trigger. It's more of like a concave trigger, a little bit easier to get your finger on there. So anyways, hopefully that gives you an idea. Like I said, if you have any questions about any of the particular ratchets in general, if it were me and I was recommending, someone said, hey, which one should I start out with? Honestly, I would get the brushless 3/8 long reach, which is CTR 867. That would be one that I would get. And then you could either pick between one of the 1/4 inches. Honestly, I feel like I use the long reach ones more, but there are times where you can't fit it in there and you need the short one. So I would say though, if I was gonna start out with one, this is the other one, the CTR 817. Those would be my top two that I would start with if I was buying Snap-on. Of course, the new Milwaukee ones, if you already have a bunch of Milwaukee and that's your thing, then buy the new Milwaukee long reach ones in 1/4 inch and 3/8, I'm sorry. And that'll be a great start for you. They are a great tool to add to your arsenal. So again, hopefully that helps. Appreciate y'all watching. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to comment down below. I'm happy to answer whatever I can and answer any questions that I can. Appreciate y'all. Thanks. See ya. Bye.